Ah, yes. H.G. Wells.
I'm sure he needs no introduction. A very famous author whose works were well known, if not for their books, but even for their adaptations. This is one of those adaptations of The Island of Doctor Moreau. I haven't read the book unfortunately, but definitely check out The Island of Lost Souls. It's from the pre-code era of the early 30s, and it's actually still so effective in the horror aspect. It's still a scary film.
There are a ton of references in this, but I think instead of just telling all of them straight up, I think I should tell them as they go on, kind of leave a bit of a surprise for you. This is frankly one of the most obscure games I've played in a while. I just browsed through a bunch of random DOS games and found this, and well, kind of surprised, because this game rules.
It was received quite well, with Just Adventure saying it's up there with the LucasArts and Sierra games, with the only more negative review being a mediocre, retrospective one, saying that there's other adventure games out there. This was developed by Divide by Zero Limited, and surprisingly, this is considered their most famous game, with even Giant Bomb calling it a cult classic. The reason why I find it amusing is that the company went defunct after this was released. Also, I had my eye on almost every release from this company.
Wow.
Their first game, Olympic Trials, was the exception, which was released for a platform called the Supervision, which I honestly never heard of before. Turns out it's a monochrome handheld which was released in the UK, created by a company called Watada, which is hard to find any info on. There is the Innocent Until Caught series, with the sequel being called Guilty. It's a sci-fi point-and-click series published by Psygnosis Limited.
Okay, remember your lines. When the dairy payroll truck stops, I stick the gun in your ear. You try to look scared. They give me the cash, and we're out of here. Got that? Hold it right there, or the Frisian gets it between the horns.
Isn't that a jersey?
Shut up! Hand over the payroll. What are you staring at?
The Orion Conspiracy seems quite... not sure if it's famous or infamous. It is also known for having one of the major characters being queer, and for its incredibly vulgar dialogue.
It's about time, Ward. You've known about this for a week, and you're still late.
I was fucking busy, okay?
Vic Tokai Inc. published the game, alongside lots of small ones, and went defunct in 1997. It was an American sales division of the company called Vic Tokai. Perhaps there are other companies not known for video games that released a bunch. I mean, looking at this, maybe there's more telecom companies?
I can't really think of any more examples, but I'm sure that would be quite the interesting rabbit hole.
The other interesting aspect of this is that many of the crew had this as their most recent entry. Some did more recent roles, like one doing the movie sequences in a game called Battalion Wars, which might be reviewed eventually. Who knows? The voice actors, on the other hand, had a bit of fame. The lead role is played by Sean Pertwee, who plays Alfred in the show Gotham. Jeff Rawle was in Drop the Dead Donkey, a sitcom I never heard of, but honestly, who would want to watch sitcoms? Keith Wickham, which is a voice actor who did one of the major roles in Cursed Mountain. Another game I might review? Who knows? Anyways, let's get on to the game after this.
Who's that pointing and clicking his way to internet fame? He might be a little too cool for your mainstream kind of games. But if you like retro consoles and obscure PC stuff, then you might just be hip enough for this pretentious hipster.
It was kind of funny as I was going through this video, because I'm pretty sure that the last point-and-click game I played was called Touche, The Adventures of the Fifth Musketeer, and this felt eerily similar to this. I mean, they're both light on puzzles, except the inventory ones, but it's all about the charm and the voice acting and the locations. And I really hope showing some of that will make you want to play this game.
So, with it being a Dr. Moreau adaptation, that part is obvious.
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Oi, come here. Ow! Somebody grab him!
But firstly, it's a weird mix. These backdrops look great, but this logo, the text isn't even implemented with the logo. And like, what does Divide by Zero have to do with musical notation? Is it because of the rest at the end? Following the cutscene, the contrast here is strange, but on a technical level I can see why. It's 3D art for the more animation heavy stuff, as I guess it would somehow be easier to implement rather than the more intensive 2D hand-drawn animation. Plus, I wonder whose carriage that is.
Greetings! I am off to carriage away! Wait, what? It's not even a misclone! Get out of here! But he knew who can help. A great hero named Piers Featherstonehaw.
Ah, London. The hub of polite society, the very cornerstone of civilization, eh, Mossop?
Right you are, sir. America's all very well, but I wouldn't like to live there. I can't help feel there's something missing.
Poverty, I expect, Mossop. Not enough dregs of society, no beggars, no urchins, no common street tarts and drunken ne'er-do-wells. No wonder you felt out of place there. Still, it's a young country. Give them time. They'll have their own poor one day.
But America is so big. How will they ever be able to manage all those people?
Don't be too disparaging of the Americans. They could be very useful allies in a war someday. Come on, hail a carriage, and let's go home, Mossop.
There's bound to be one in the streets, sir.
As you can see straight from this, it does that classic thing of having to add the text later on. I gotta get this out of the way. As you know, with DOSBox, you gotta set the cycle speed, or else you get more chaotic results. I tried everything I could think of with this, but I noticed that the text either goes just too fast or way too small, so you will see awkward pauses whenever there's dialogue in this.
That young upstart could do with a lesson in good manners.
I could edit it for pacing's sake, but then the cuts in the music will make it uncomfortable for both of us. So please, try to bear with me on this.
Now, if you're going to play this game, I suggest just turning the subtitles off, because playing around with the cycles until you get it right is going to take ages. Unfortunately, I had to leave them on because, well, I want you to see what the dialogue was, especially when there's my voiceover instead.
Or just click when the dialogue is done, but then you have the risk of clicking it when the next line comes, so you're gonna miss it. Still, it would have helped if I wasn't such an idiot and it took until near the end of the game to figure it out.
Why yes, Pompous. How are you this fine evening? Why, I am doing fine myself. I cannot wait to see your next entry of games lost in the mists of time. Yes, Pompous. In due time. Why don't we go out and fetch some tea? Fantastic! I guess we are off to Carriage Away!
Of course, we need the background of the manservant Mossop.
Tell me a bit about yourself, Mossop.
Well, sir, there's not much to tell. I was born in Clerkenwell to parents who were servants just like me.
It runs in the family then, the serving profession.
Oh, yes, sir. And all 17 of me brothers and sisters are in the trade too. Apart from one brother, he joined the Royal Navy.
Why did most of your family become servants?
We can't cook well enough to become chefs. We're too short to do any manual labour, and we don't have enough initiative to do things without being told what to do.
Remind me again, why did I employ you?
I was the cheapest, sir.
Oh yes, that's right.
As you can tell straight from this, yes, it's very British. I haven't seen the show, but it was compared to Blackadder, except with one huge twist. Perhaps I should check it out if the show is indeed like this game. The cat comes in and meets Featherstonehaw, and you'll realize what Piers's priorities are.
Excuse me, Mr. Featherstonehaw, I presume?
I can't believe it.
Nor can I, sir.
I don't believe you cannot pronounce my name properly. It's Fanshawe.
But it's a talking cat, sir. It speaks English.
It's hardly talking English if it can't pronounce one's name. It's perfectly simple. F, silent E, A, silent T, silent H, silent E, silent R, S, silent T, silent O, N. Swap the N and the S, silent E, H, A, U, G, H. Haw! Fanshawe!
Because of its pauses, I will summarize what they say back and forth between each other. There's a mad scientist named Dr. Dinsey who is basically Moreau. His machine is called the Gene Machine, and this cat-human hybrid wants Piers to undertake a very important mission. Although, some lines are like, what?
Washing myself has a whole new meaning to me now. You wouldn't believe what I can bend over and lick.
A real gentleman would never lick himself. There.
Now, it gets someone else to do it.
He accepts it, after the cat says he might go to Piers's rival for help, but they realize that they need £8,000 to do the venture. Money that he doesn't even have. The gameplay then starts, and it comes down to analyzing everything. With this comment if you look at Mossop.
He's not important, he's my manservant.
Or something like this.
This is the first time I've been in Mossop's room. So this is how he chooses to live. 2 chairs and a bed. I'm paying him far too much.
The game is full of moments of this, and it's the highlight of the game. It's very British humor, but it works most of the time. Getting to the map, it gives the obvious sort of map view in point-and-click games, including the audio.
Barnsbury!
Which, as an interesting fact, even though I will kinda digress, is this post in Moby Games. It's based in the 1880s, but someone actually looked at Charles Booth's poverty map from 1889, showing that it is clearly more developed, and saying that this should be based in more like the 1850s.
I honestly just find it kind of funny. Like, they were looking so in-depth into the maps to actually find the real ones, when this game isn't really accurate. I mean, it opens with a talking cat.
An amusing part is that some parts are highlighted, but you could never visit them. Instead, you get a comment.
Bridges are crossing the river. They certainly aren't places one would want to visit.
It's an example of talking to everyone and visiting every location. I mean, it is a point-and-click game. For example, the sailor gives you a background of this man named Nematode. and wait.
What else do you know about Captain Nematode?
Only that he's a deeply troubled and tormented man, driven by some strange inner force to find the lost city of Atlantis.
Atlantis? Why am I gonna have to go through so many games about underwater cities, or just full on Atlantis? The majority of the puzzles are inventory based, and you could see one with it early on. It was when I found this letter. You have to click search when the item is selected, and it gets annoying. For example, I was stuck for a while because I realized that you have to open it multiple times for items, like your wallet. Make sure you analyze every single item in every single way multiple times until nothing comes up.
I'm sure Mossop won't mind me borrowing this. After all, I provided the wages that paid for it.
Yeah, Piers is an asshole, but you'll see what I mean. It's fantastic.
Their relationship reminds me of something.
And this is Ensign Jeffroy of the Mucky Ear.
Can't you find something useful to do?
This kind of reminds me of another exchange. Why, I guess my distraction might have went too far. I didn't want to kill him, simply to send him to space. But I guess Michael has rescued him. I guess I'm going to get punched again. Ho 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 ho! Yes, you are.
There's this running gag that also shows how much of an asshole he is, and it's one of my favorites. It all has to do with a doorman in the Gentleman's Club.
I've seen that chap so many times, but I just cannot remember his name.
Good day, Mr. Fanshawe.
Hello, Pitter. Potman, Popper, Pitman, Pitbull, Portley, Privy, Pongo, Pollock, Popple.
Potter, sir.
Jolly good.
Which is, of course, full of even more assholes.
One can't stand in the way of progress. Change is inevitable.
Balderdash! All this talk of progress and change, that's why we've got the British Army, to stop that sort of thing.
To top it off, it has this trope of the rich fiancé, which, need I say more?
It's a good job the diamond on the engagement ring you gave me was so small. Otherwise, the added weight on my hand would have made the task even more unbearable.
The tropes and references get even deeper. There's Whitechapel, for example. I mean, there's all the Sherlock Holmes games that references that.
Which I might review soon? I mean, I have all the footage ready.
They do play with the tropes in a fascinating way, at least. A parody of sorts, such as this interaction with this man in Whitechapel.
Is there anywhere at all decent here in Whitechapel?
No. They're all cesspits of sin, depravity, and debauchery. Everywhere you look.
Don't you like debauchery, then?
Certainly not. The peddlers of sin should be hung, drawn, and quartered.
Quite right, too. It's high time someone took a stand.
Do you think I should do something about it, then?
Of course! Strike a blow for the normal, decent people of the world. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
You got the stereotypical bar and brothel there, with amusing dialogue.
What an impressive set of credentials that girl has.
Obviously, with a scientific mission comes the Science Museum. Now, this provides a twist with this. It's not that obvious yet, but you can see the mad scientist there and some strange contraptions. Steampunk, perhaps?
Oh, just you wait. After solving this puzzle, I'm sure you could see what route this is going to.
Now, what would complete a game about England?
Buckingham Palace.
Talking to royalty, of course. It's funny because she knows you quite well.
Shot!
I am Piers Fanshawe, secret agent of Her Majesty the Queen, and I carry news of vital importance to the Empire.
Piers who? I've never heard of ya.
That's because I'm a secret agent. Now let me in.
How do I know you're a secret agent? Do you have a badge?
Secret agents don't have badges, or they wouldn't be very secret, would they?
Do you have any gadgets then? You know, like fountain pens that turn into Gatling guns, or a walking cane that converts into a field cannon.
But the guards won't let you in, requiring a puzzle. You end up getting a letter of recommendation from the Queen of England. And where was the first place I went? The brothel of Whitechapel, of course.
You come highly recommended by Queen Vicky herself, eh? Not even Prince Albert had a letter like that. I suppose you can come in and look around, and if you like it here, you could become a member. Go on through.
Like many upper-class people, he tries to rally up the working class, and he states his reasons here.
I am a working man.
And what makes you think that?
I work hard at being a gentleman.
And I'm working hard at not punching your lights out.
Although surprisingly becomes one at the end. He uses it to his advantage, to talk to the rest of the upper class. The book references get even more apparent here, with this being the obvious one.
I bet I can travel around the world in 80 days.
Well, it's all very well, but what's the point? I mean, you end up where you started from. You have to travel through some of the most wretched hellholes on Earth, and that's before you've even reached the Channel. And hardly anywhere has duty-free shops yet, so you can't even stock up on cheap whiskey and cigars. It's a pointless exercise, man.
In trying to get a deal done with the upper class, it leads to a interesting rabbit hole. But of course it's still the standard stuff. It involves catnip, mice, a servant with dementia, a ring, and it ends by going to a forger to rig a bet. Now, what do you think is the advancement in this? Where would he need to go in order to end his adventure by going to the hidden island? Well, there's this train. Yeah, quite steampunk, right? I'll let the professor explain it.
You can be my assistant on my trip to the moon.
You've heard that correctly. Going to the moon. Yeah, I know. This was probably the funniest reason I've heard as to why someone would want to go to the moon. The professor, though, had this obvious thing.
Jeez, Gromit.
This was definitely one of the highlights of the game, such as the puzzle to reorient yourself to the moon because of the extra weight. You then do your mission when landing on the moon, with a robot going along with you.
I'm back, Professor.
Marvellous. How much cheese is there? Am I going to be a millionaire or a multi-millionaire?
Now, how do I put this? Well, there is no cheese here. There's dust, there's rocks, there's craters, but no cheese. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being a moon covered in cheese and 1 being no cheese whatsoever, I'd say this place is minus 658. You'd find Americans on the moon before finding cheese there.
Obviously, there's no cheese, but what is your purpose of going there? To take a photo of where that hidden island is. Yeah, talk about a lot of work to do something minor. Yeah, just landing on the moon to take a photo. I at least hope the prof went to the science building after to say that he was on the moon.
And oh god, the robot named Robert. What is he gonna do now?
After getting the boat, I had to convince the sailor to let us leave because of, well, certain obstacles.
Nope. There's a shipping blockade. No ships can enter or leave the port of London without permission from Her Majesty's government.
A blockade?
I need permission from the Queen, which was easy enough. You really think it'd be that easy, didn't you? Obviously there would be more.
Now can I go on board my ship?
Nope.
Why not?
Well, as Her Harbour Master, I have to ensure that all the ships that leave have proper plans for their routes, or else they'll get lost and sink. You haven't lodged a route plan with me.
This led to a very interesting puzzle of making a cigar. Made of what? He says it right here.
If you like strong tobacco, old chap, I've got a cigar that you might like to try. It's got a unique flavour, I hear. Each one is lovingly rolled on the thighs of women of loose morals and easy virtue. Then it's left to ferment in a tar pit for 20 years. There's a very limited supply of these, you know.
Of course, it was actually made of cake. It leads to your standard point-and-click puzzles when you're finally on the ship, with ingenious uses of items. But there is this one gag in mind.
Watch out, Mossop. If that had hit your head, the tip would have broken off and it would have been useless.
And look at this. Obviously Grog.
By the way, I did get this tattoo recently, which I hope you point-and-click enthusiasts would enjoy.
Finding an iceberg leads to finding a nematode, and a fascinating part of the game. There's one thing that people tend to love about their characters, and that's to see their motivations. In fact, when he gives you what he wants in exchange, it's literally him asking you to figure out what his motivation is to find Atlantis.
Don't lie to me, capitalist scum!
His initial motivation is making you want to be his prisoner, which is quite weird. And well, this is what it is.
You seek one of the mermaids that inhabit the city.
Then you've been there. You've seen Atlantis. You've witnessed the beauty of the mermaids. Lost your heart to their well-nigh ineffable marine odor.
Love.
Yep. Love conquers all.
You then end up on some tropical island. Where would this go? You can already tell that this game uses tropes and turns them upside down. So it's still kind of obvious. Hell, I was able to see it in the distance here first. Getting to this part, I started noticing a major flaw in this. Listen to this track. This track plays in like half of the game, with the other track being this.
Where to, Governor?
Great songs for a game? Of course, but you are gonna get tired of them so quickly. But I digress. The trope they play with is the cannibal natives. You can get something in exchange when it leads to yet another cookie trail, and this joke. Just listen to this.
Chief, as a token of my respect, I give you this valuable trinket. It will increase your fertility manifold and is worth a lot of money in my country.
That's not a lot of use to me, is it? Your country's currency is not valid here.
But consider it an investment. Just think, in a few years when you're invaded and colonized by the British Empire, you'll be so rich that you may even be allowed to keep some of your own land.
I seriously did not expect that from a British game from the mid-90s to be mask off like that in terms of self-awareness. Talk about being pleasantly surprised. The Serpent Cave leads to something huge, and this is where the trope of the trails comes in. It was very fun to go through because you have puzzles that make you think outside of the box, like using this to stop a trap, or this to stop lava from flowing. You'll laugh at how ridiculous the solutions can be, but it doesn't reach the point of moon logic. You then stumble upon this, and a logic puzzle? That's quite a nice change. It shows where you are afterwards with a sort of marble welcome mat, and it was hilarious. Just like the moon, you think this would be a big deal. Hell, he even says this at one point.
By Jove! An entire city under the ground. This could be the archaeological find of the century.
But he achieves almost nothing out of this, except finding rock candy. I guess it's made by the trim of all the crystals. That has to be the case, right? And oh yeah, nematode.
Where are all the mermaids, then? Did you tell them I was coming? Did you?
I hate to be the one to break the news to you, but it appears they've all left.
All of them? Where have they gone?
Apparently, they've formed a synchronized swimming team and have gone on a tour of tourist hotspots in the Mediterranean.
No! No!
Well, I'll be off then. Thanks for the map.
He, of course, is completely disappointed by this, but well, you did your end of the bargain. The rock candy then has its use to rescue Mossop. You think it would be a simple case of defeating the evil Dr. Dinsey? Nah, there has to be the twists and turns. This cutscene is absolutely amazing, but it is like 10 minutes long. I should also mention that for some reason at this point, the text just flashes and disappears within a millisecond. No matter what, I couldn't fix it. Probably some sort of DOSBox emulation glitch. Anyways, of course this guy works for Dinsey. He escorts you to the island, and there you see some foreshadowing and these creatures. He then gives the entire explanation of what he does and why, and combines these two animals in a cool cutscene. But the important lesson is, no matter what, you gotta shit talk Mossop.
And what about the fat one?
Just a common servant, not worth caring about.
I say so. He can't talk about me like that.
I'm afraid he's right, Mossop. It is important to remember your place in the pecking order, no matter what your situation.
Sorry, sir.
But what about me? Shut up, Pompous!
The way to end this, more shit talking, of course.
I say, Dinsey, over here!
Fanshawe, how did you escape? Oh, never mind. It was probably that idiot assistant of mine. I shall have to deal with you myself.
Hold on a second, old chap. I actually came to tell you that I think your machine is fascinating, really fascinating, and I'm awfully impressed. But I'm afraid King Peace has misled you as to my intentions. I don't want to stop you. I want to join you.
Sir, I can't believe it. Not you, sir.
Shut up, Mossop. You're nothing but a worthless piece of detritus in the sewer of humanity. You don't belong here with gentlemen such as the Honourable Doctor and I.
But, sir, I never expected you should show me any sort of respect or common decency, what with me being a lowly manservant. But I at least thought that you liked me.
Liked you? I tolerated you at best. The folly of the lower classes, eh, Dinsey? Now, go and stand in the corner, Mossop. I will deal with you later, after I've discussed the finer points of genocide with the Doctor.
Upon escaping, I think the closing dialogue is some of the best.
We made it, sir. We were in the direst peril, but you saved us, and indeed, the whole of mankind.
I simply did what any English gentleman would have done, Mossop. Now, keep your speed up. We might be able to make it to the mainland in time for tea.
Certainly, sir. But I'd just like to point out that this is a tandem, and there is room for one more person in the peddling department.
So there is, Mossop. I suppose it would make it easier for you if someone were to help propel this vessel.
It certainly would, sir.
Maybe I could help.
That's exactly what I was thinking, sir.
Capital. I will see about getting another manservant the moment we reach dry land. All the more reason for you to hurry up then, isn't there?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
He's not important. He's my manservant. 2 chairs and a bed. I'm paying him far too much. I'm sure Mossop won't mind me borrowing this. After all, I provided the wages that paid for it. I've seen that chap so many times, I just cannot remember his name.
And what about the fat one?
Just a common servant, not worth caring about.
I say so. He can't talk about me like that.
I'm afraid he's right, Mossop. It is important to remember your place in the pecking order, no matter what your situation. Shut up, Mossop. You're nothing but a worthless piece of detritus in the sewer of humanity. I know a gentleman never fetches his own mail. I shall make an exception in this case. I can always deduct something from Mossop's salary. I try not to speak to servants unless it's strictly necessary.
However else would we control the masses?
He's a hilarious character. I haven't seen Blackadder, but apparently he acts exactly the same as this, but all of the plans go badly. This, on the other hand, he became a hero that saved the world and didn't have any sort of arc of him realizing his ways. That sort of parody was the apex of what made this game special. Its graphics are also amazing, despite how awkward some of the 3D placements are, and the puzzles are simplistic, but sometimes there's nothing wrong with that. All in all, if you love retro point-and-click games, I would highly recommend this.
Thanks for... Wait, what is this? Don't take me away!
This is I, Dr. Dinsley. I have the greatest plan. Take a hipster and a Victorian-era carriage driver. Might I add that it's quite often. And what will happen if I combine them together?
No, wait, you can't do that. He's my alter ego. Who knows what the hell is gonna happen?
Wait, just the hipster came up?
I think I know what happened. Mr. Dinsley, you complete me. Now we're both human again. Thank you so much.
Now my greatest plan has been foiled.